So Disney World is essentially like some very inexpensive rides.
Let you?
Yeah.
I hate Disney World.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Hang on.
Well, welcome back to this episode of Hang On with Nick and Blake. Now that's a good idea. Finally, we get to the heart of it.
Boom shakalaka.
Yeah.
Boom bam bam clickety clack. We're good. One of the things we talked about in the personal assistant was like travel.
Still love that idea.
I do as well. The more I've thought about it, the less I think that it's really feasible when it comes to making money at it. But I do really like the idea.
Yeah, I like that idea too.
Or I guess you could make money. It's going to be way more expensive than I initially thought once I started kind of crunching some numbers and really thinking about it.
The reason I like jobs like that is I imagine somebody making a schoolie, driving around the country, living in the bus, and needing a job. And, like, they don't need a ton of money. So, like, they could work 30, 40 hours a week and, work from wherever on the internet. Yeah. I think we need more jobs like that.
So
my producer's looking at me. So, a schoolie is when you buy an old school bus
and turn it into a camper.
Yeah. So, you don't have to pay $200,000 for an RV.
Yeah, that's going to be worth $30,000
yeah,
3
you pay,
years
like,
from now.
$5,000 for a used school bus, rip out the seats, throw down some plywood, and put a pooper in.
I mean, you don't even have to put in a pooper.
You need a pooper.
I mean, you don't have to, though.
You're talking about that van life.
Yeah. Anyway, so we were talking about at work. So one of the things we talked about for the personal assistant that we would really like to see would be traveling. And then at work the other day, we were talking about how convenient like all-inclusive resorts are. One of the reasons people like cruises or all-inclusive resorts is it's stress-free. They don't have to think about anything.
It's all done for you.
Yeah,
I love these types of vacations.
You show up, you're there, you eat, you drink, you do whatever you want to do, and everything's paid for.
Yes.
You leave your wallet at home. Problem is, right now, the only place to do all-inclusive vacations is like Sandals.
Down in Mexico, something like that.
Or like a cruise line, cruises.
Right. Essentially, you're going to a room that's there, and everything close to the room is already paid for.
Yeah. So why don't we start a company that puts together all-inclusive trips to insert destination that you want to go to?
I want to answer your first question with why don't we? And I think we're too busy podcasting. Giving these listeners
too
out
busy
there.
making
That's the reason why we
why
can't
don't our listeners start a company?
Why the heck aren't you out here doing this right now?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's just volume. Because if you were to go up to Alaska, no one knows what to do there. You're going to look at some snow. Doesn't matter where. You might get on a boat and see a glacier. You want to see a whale. How is that not already all-inclusive?
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking people are very interested in traveling. I think a lot of people, however, are kind of intimidated about making all these decisions. Like, where do I want to go eat? I know I always reference New York City, but
it's a great city to think about.
Yeah. How many people are like, man, I really want to go to New York City?
And it's just overwhelming.
But yeah, it's overwhelming.
I've never been.
And I've got to now I have to arrange all this transportation.
Right. I've seen a lot of movies where people die in New York.
What if there was just a company I could pay a one-time thing, and it would include, I could put in my dates that I wanted to do.
Yep.
And I'd be airfare, hotel, transportation, dinner, lunch, all included.
Yeah. I would want
for a set price.
I want an order form for whatever city I'm picking that's like, do you want to go to an art museum or do you want to go to Broadway? Right? And that's the level.
Do you want to go to a sporting event?
Yes.
Do you want to go to a check-in boxes, like which tourist items do you want to see?
I thought you were saying like witches. Like, I want a haunted one.
No. I mean, I guess you could, depending on where you're at.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to Salem, Massachusetts, or like Boston area? Like, do you want to go visit Salem? Like, okay, yes.
100%, this is the only way I would travel.
Yeah. I think if you did something, I think you'd get a lot of people who are like, I really want to see that city. I don't want to have to think about it. I don't have to make plans. I can just go on a la carte, pick the things I want to do. They'll shoot me back an email the next day with a price and everything's included. And you as the company would have deals with like restaurants and all that stuff where, and transportation companies where just everything's included and everything's taken care of. So I'm not talking about a travel agency where they just like book your trip and book your flight.
Yes.
I'm talking about it's a one-stop shop. I pay a price. Everything's included.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. And this is fantastic. It really is, because and it especially works for the big cities or in an area where you really don't know what you're going into.
I think you start in one city, New York City, and you just have all-inclusive,
packages.
Like Sandals has all-inclusive resorts. You have all-inclusive trips to New York City.
So I'm
and
wondering,
then you get deals with the hotels, you get deals with the bars and restaurants and the nightclubs and stuff like that, and then you let people pick what they want to do. Also, there would be some sort of, hey, I've picked these things. I've told them like what kind of food I like and like my price range of what I want to do on food. I don't know how nitty gritty you get with it. Like, there should be pre-made packages because some people like the all-inclusive because they literally don't have to think about it at all. So there should be like pre-made. Like, I want to go to New York City. There should be like the tourist package, which is Statue of Liberty,
my
World
first
Trade
New York
Center,
trip.
Empire State Building, like Rockefeller Center. You get a free I Heart New York as soon as you like get picked up. Like, that should be a trip. There should be like a food and beverage trip where you're not wasting
like a wine trip.
Yeah, you're not wasting any of your sights seeing or any of your time seeing the sights. You're just going to restaurants and bars and getting good food and drinks and like I said, everything's paid for, all inclusive, up front.
Paid up front.
And it's the same price as what you'd pay when you go there. It's just there's something nice about I've already paid the money,
and
I don't have
this
to worry
worked
about
really well when I went to Disney World and I bought the food pass, where I had my little magic band and I just scanned it every time I wanted food, and it was paid for by me already.
It's already this is proven that this will work because they have drink packages and food packages on cruise lines because people are like, I'll pay the $300 or $400.
I just don't want to pay $10 every hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it needs to happen, and I'm so surprised it hasn't. Because even if you had one package that you had for New York, and that's the only city you did,
and you just did the tourist package,
and you just did the tourist package, you could make money. I guarantee.
I don't think you would need that many people to make that much money.
No, because everything in New York, the infrastructure is all there. Even if you just got in line with a touring company, and your only job was to book a hotel room and get them to the tour bus.
And then pick them up at the airport, drop them off at the hotel, and then drop them off at wherever the tour starts. Yeah, I totally agree.
Love it. What do you think about setting up a hotel that's an all-inclusive hotel in a city like New York?
I was just thinking about it. Yeah, I totally could see that as well. That might be down the road an easier thing to do, unless you just have hundreds of millions of dollars to start this.
Yeah, and New York would be expensive. But let's say you go to a less populated city like St. Louis, and you go to that hotel. It has a shuttle to the airport.
I don't think people are going to New York City or St. Louis that much. Like, I don't think St. Louis is. I mean, St. Louis, I'm sure, has tourism.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, no one's going, but you have a business that's established, and they're like, "Hey, we have a St. Louis branch. Like, what the heck am I going to do in St. Louis?" Well. Let me show you. You fly into this hotel, and on Mondays, the hotel has a bus that goes to the Arch. And on Tuesdays, it's a ball game. And on Wednesdays,
I think the best bet is to just have a hotel. Mm-hmm. It has 3 or 4 different restaurants, 3 or 4 different bars
in
the hotel.
Yes.
You book a room, and it's all inclusive. Mm-hmm. And then there's transportation from shuttle buses or like tour buses, shuttle buses, whatever, from the hotel that take you to,
what this is, sites. What I want is a cruise ship parked on shore.
I literally was thinking about our last idea where we just had a cruise ship and then. But yeah, it's the idea. Just
you have a mall, a small shitty mall in it.
Yeah, instead of turning a hotel, exactly, we just want an all-inclusive hotel in a big city like New York City.
Now,
I don't know why more hotels aren't just all-inclusive hotels.
I don't have any idea.
Well, I guess
it must be a big brand thing.
Hang on. If you go to New York City, though, you're not going to want to just hang out in your hotel the whole time.
That's true.
So that's kind of an issue. Whereas if you go to like Cozumel or whatever, you're perfectly fine with just hanging out on the beach all the time. Or if you're on a cruise ship, there's nowhere to go because you're in the ocean.
Yeah.
So maybe that's kind of a thing. Maybe that's an issue. Maybe that's why. So
okay, so there's
like if I went to New York City, I wouldn't want to just eat in the 4 restaurants that are in my hotel.
Yes, that's true. But what if they just had shuttles that went to 10 different restaurants? Like, there's a number of vans you could have going to restaurants.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think just the basic idea where they just book restaurant and they just get deals with restaurants and say like, hey, I'm going to book 2 dinners, like, an appetizer, because the restaurant's going to say, hey, that's money guaranteed that I already have up front. So they're going to be willing to, and if I get in good with this company is going to send me hundreds of people through a month. So I'm going to cut them like a little bit of a break. Oh, yeah. I think that would be great. But I think in a place like New York City, if you just had the restaurants in the hotel and people had to stay in their hotel, I think that kind of defeats the purpose of going to a place like New York City.
Yeah, I guess that's true. For cruise ships, most of the time you're out on the deck. Like, even just being outside, it's warm and sunny.
Now, if you had a hotel that had bars in it and it had like a drinks package, like all-inclusive drinks where I could come back to even then, like if I go to a big city like New York City, I want to go out to bars. I don't want to just stay at my hotel.
So what if the hotel was in the Midwest? Because I want to get away from a big city, right? Because a big city has very unique layout of trying to find old streets and get this. Think of like a very large mall where every other store is either a store or a bar. So you're kind of like exploring the mall, and there's all sorts of different theme bars. Like you step into one and you have to do karaoke. And if you do, you get a free shot. And then your next one's pirates, just because people have pirates.
Nah, I'm out.
Really?
Yeah. I don't like it.
So you would go downtown New York because it feels more real. But if I tell you it's fake, then you're not interested.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're saying So your idea is to set up some sort of like downtown feel, metropolis feel thing just in a...
Well, if it's enclosed, if it's somewhere like Arizona where it's always warm, like let's just have it out and about.
I mean, that's kind of the idea of those like outside malls and like I call them the fake downtowns that cities build now.
Yeah. Like
the city centers that they build. And I mean, those do pretty well. I mean, like that's not like a new idea, I don't think.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking on expanding the hotel. Like you said, I don't want to spend, necessarily in 2 or 3 bars in the hotel. How many bars could you have that are all different before you're happy being there?
I think it just totally depends on the place. Because if I'm in New York City, I don't think it matters how many you have there. I'm still going to want to go out and do other things.
Interesting. What about, have you been to a Sandals before?
No.
I haven't been to a Sandals either. I've been meaning to go. What about Disney World?
Yes.
So Disney World is essentially like some very inexpensive rides.
Let you?
Yeah.
I hate Disney World.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. Why?
It's very expensive.
Okay.
Takes forever to get anywhere or do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel like I have the choice to really do what I want. Everything's the same. Like everything has like a different facade on it.
Yes, exactly.
But everything's exactly the same.
True.
The only thing I like about Disney World, and it's not even that great, is I do like Epcot.
Okay.
Like one time.
The Food and Wine Festival?
Just walking around and like eating and drinking and all the different little things.
Yeah.
But like I've done it once and I don't really ever need to do it again. Well, I've done it more than once. I don't ever need to really do it again. So
what do you think about...
Like downtown Disney's okay. And that's kind of cool.
It's called Disney Springs now.
Whatever. Yeah, I just don't... It's very fake. It's very cookie cutter. Everything's everything comes from everything comes from Cisco. It's like, there's no authenticity whatsoever. It's crowded. It's hot. Takes forever to get anywhere.
And they make millions.
It's crazy expensive. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's all fake. It doesn't matter.
Disney World is also massive, like thousands of acres.
Yes.
Like, yeah, so sure, if you could start, 100% would work and people would come to it. We don't have billions of dollars, though, so.
That's true, but there's got to be some airport that's like in Montana, right? They have to have an airport. And the land out there has got to be cheap enough that you can build something large to attract people.
It gets cold in Montana, though.
It does.
Go on.
What I'm saying is, I don't necessarily like going to Florida because it's hot and sticky and gross.
Okay.
But that's where Disney World's at.
I'm done. I'm done with this. All-inclusive trains.
In.
We're trains. Done. Yeah.
What else would there be? What do you need? All the trains have a different theme, right? They all have their own bars on them.
Each train car is like a different thing, like a different theme.
Yes.
Yeah.
See? Tell me that's not amazing.
Thank you for listening to our show. To participate, send your comments or business ideas to thehangonpodcast@gmail.com. Keep us motivated by subscribing to us on YouTube and iTunes. And tell a friend. This is the Hang On Podcast. It was an honor. See you next week.